What is SP Tools?
SP Tools originated putting tools into EVA foam. We want you to do business with us in a way that you feel more comfortable, not in the way that we tell you you have to.
SP Tools USA is the US division of SP Tools. Parent company is based out of Australia.
For the last 25 years, we've designed and built here in Australia race guns for the V8 supercar pit lane. Our passion for racing our guns in pit lanes allows us to build better guns for workshops.
What keeps someone from just going to their local Harbor Freight rather than coming to you guys?
Nothing. We got to leave the cave, kill something, and drag it home. Here's the funny part. They are Snap-on's nemesis, 100%. In the eyes of Harbor Freight, Snap-on's like a baby monkey.
Would you say that most manufacturers are using the same internals on their batteries?
There's only 3 companies in the world that make lithium batteries. The guys that are using Cordless, was that tool designed for that environment, or was it designed as a carpenter's tool? No offense to Milwaukee, but they build carpenter's tools.
This brand versus that brand, is that just like sticklers being sticklers?
When we got started, we were talking about engines. You're a 2JZ guy, I'm an LS guy. That's it.
Full circle, baby.
I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era.
Welcome back to the Circle of Drift podcast. I want to say thank you for stopping in every single week for a brand new episode. This show is presented by SimHQ, where you can always save 5% off on their website with code Circle of Drift. Now, I've noticed quite a few new viewers, and I only ask that if you find any value out of these episodes that you consider subscribing and hitting the like button. For that, I'll always do my best to improve and bring you the best episodes possible each and every week. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. All right, we're back with a brand new face to the channel. We got Lee from SP Tools.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
man. So, first thing I want to start off with actually is just what is SP Tools? Because it's obviously a little newer to the drifting side, I would say, but you've been in the motorsports industry.
Yeah, so really kind of new to North America as a whole.
Really?
SP is an Australian brand. We've been around since '73. But we've only been in North America since 2018. So I met the guys, Tom and Kev, I met them over in Germany at Automechanica and became the importer in 2018, started bringing product in 2019, cruised straight into COVID, and everything came to a sudden halt. So it was a little bit of a stumbling block, but it was good. It gave us time to really think about how we wanted to go to market, what we wanted to get involved with.
So what were you doing when you met them? Before the same kind of
So I also import my background. So before I got into the tool and equipment side of the business, I was a mechanic. I worked for GM, for Honda, some aftermarket shops as well. And so then I made that transition into tools and equipment. Worked for one of my competitors for a few years. And then I started importing a diagnostic tool from a company called Texa. So I became the importer for that in 2015. And that's really the ethos of the company. That's the origins. My background, I was a drivability guy when I was at the dealership. So diagnostics really was my wheelhouse. But being a mechanic, I'm also a tool horse. So I couldn't pass it up when I was in Germany. So it was a good fit. We wanted to grow the company, but yet stay loyal to Texa because they're a great company and we didn't want to step on their toes. So hand tools were something they didn't do. It was a really good way to grow the company without damaging relationships.
Okay, so I was going to ask if there's anything specific that stood out about SP that was why you went that route. But
honestly, it was the wrenches.
Really?
Yeah. So, again, being a mechanic most of my career, as I was walking by their booth in Germany, they had this stand of wrenches sitting up on top of a toolbox, and it just caught my eye. It's like guys' jewelry, right? So I'm like, squirrel. I'm in the booth, and next thing you know, I'm holding the wrenches, and then I'm talking to Tom. I didn't know at the time that he was the CEO of the company, and I was in a hurry because I was on my way to a meeting. So I'm like, man, do you have any distribution in the U.S.? And he's like, no, not yet. I said, have you do you want some? He said, well, we've thought about it. I said, well, if you ever get past thinking, give me a call. And I gave him a card and I walked out of the booth because I was in a hurry. Luckily, he actually called a couple months later. So yeah, exactly. So who's this arrogant guy walking by being an ass? Yeah, that kind of thing. So
were they only in Australia at the time, or
so
were they
Australia,
Germany?
Europe?
Okay.
So the main Europe. So Nick covers pretty much all of your Western, what I refer to as the Western European countries. He's got offices in, I believe, Denmark, and then he's got offices in Ireland, UK, and a couple other places. At the time, we had a guy that was taking care of Finland. Finland kind of went away, and Nick has just kind of assumed that distribution. Obviously, Australia, New Zealand, and we were the first to North America.
No way. Okay, so, well, you mentioned the wrenches. So was there a specific design around the wrench that was appealing? Because, dude, I will say whenever I'm using a wrench and it has a sharp edge, that's the quickest way I will throw one in the trash.
So what caught my eye at first was the luster of the wrench, right? So when there's a difference in chroming, when you look at a cheap wrench, I won't throw anybody under the bus, but when you look at a cheap wrench versus a professional quality wrench, there's a clear difference when you look at them. And so that was the first thing that caught my eye, and that's what made me walk into the booth. Next thing I wanted to do, like to your point, is put it in my hand. What does it feel like, right? Because it's got to have the right feel. It's got to fit my hand right. And if not, well, then it can look good. It's still a cheap wrench.
That's fair. That's fair. Is there any tool that you guys make that has stood out to you specifically in your line of work, or just has helped in the most oddball occasion?
I would say not necessarily. We do have something coming out that I can't talk about.
Dang it.
But we'll redo this when that comes out, because I think it's going to be a game changer for everybody. Yeah. One of the things that really drew me to the company, aside from the quality of the product, was SP Tools originated putting tools into EVA foam. So that whole organization thing is a game changer, especially for what we do here at a racetrack.
It's
when
so
you're loading
convenient.
a race trailer, when you're outfitting your trailer and your drawers and everything, and you've got to keep everything in its place, make sure that you're not losing it, and also account for it, before you take the car out on the track. They originated that, and now there's lots of companies doing it. In fact, one of the companies that we supply literally copied our foam sets and they're one of our competitors, so I'm going to leave them out of the conversation.
Fair
but
enough.
They didn't do EVA foam until we did, and they literally bought some of our EVA foam and kind of copied how we were laying it out. So, what do they say? Flattery or plagiarism is the greatest form of flattery.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
There you go.
And I mean, it's part of it, especially here in the U.S. People are going to do it.
Yep.
China, good
Yep.
Lord, they're definitely going to do
Yep.
it. To a T, they'll copy it. But,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I know you yourself are involved in motorsports as well. So
Yes.
why, before we get into like your background and history in it, why drifting? Why did you feel the need to venture into this market, and why does it fit SP the best?
I am all things motorsport. It doesn't, so like how I choose to race is, like you said, history and background and all that. But I appreciate all things motorsport, whether it's 2 wheels, 4 wheels, dirt, road course, it doesn't matter. Somewhere along the lines, my marketing team, I think it was at PRI, my marketing team hooked up with Drift HQ, and it just seemed like a really good fit. In all of the things that we do in motorsport, that decision centers around who are we doing business with. And so these are just class act guys, right? So it was a good fit.
That's
We've done some other things with other drifting organizations that weren't quite the same. And again, they shall remain nameless. No reason to throw anybody under the bus. I just think that what they do and how they do things is a good fit for what we do.
Have you seen a noticeable difference so far?
Yeah, so we weren't supposed to be here. So this was
Oh,
like
cool.
a last minute invite, and they were like, hey, you don't even have to bring your trailer or anything, just come show up and hang out with us and see what we're doing. Obviously giving up the 4th of July weekend last minute. I had some conversations with the wife.
I was about to say, shout out to the family.
Yeah, exactly. Hope everybody's watching at home, all that kind of stuff. No, but it's great. Like I was watching, I got to ride yesterday as well, but I've been watching everything. It's been clean. It's been fun. Nobody's getting hurt. Nobody's arguing, fighting. You know, sometimes you can see that at a race event. So just everybody's having a great time.
Is this your first like real drift event experience, or
On a larger track.
Okay.
So we did some sponsorships early on. Give me a sec. Clutch kickers. So we did some stuff with clutch kickers. There was a racetrack fairly close to us. It was a drag strip, but they had like a little tiny go-kart track similar to what's here. And clutch kickers would go out there and they would do events. So I went to a couple of those, but nothing this big and nothing with this quality of driver as well.
that's definitely fair. I went to one of the clutch kickers, one of the fun day rounds.
Yep.
It's great, and that whole Florida track was awesome.
Okay.
But
So
it's cool that you're getting to experience something this big at least.
Yeah. So I personally didn't get to go, but Bill, my marketing guy, did. We also, the clutch kickers thing led us to sponsoring Ben Hobson before he went pro.
Oh, cool.
So I got to sit down, have dinner with him, kind of working out the sponsorship. Bill went to all of the events, got content, things like that. So I didn't get to go. I was busy. So, there were some large events there where SP was represented. I just didn't get the chance to be there.
Now, I saw you may or may not have gone on your first ride along.
I
right?
did.
Yesterday with Duarte?
Yes.
How did that go?
Good. Dude's got skill. Yeah, it was awesome. He's like, now, are you ready to get a drift car? And I was like, no. He's like, that's why I do this, man. I was like, no, I get it. I was like, this dog is too old to teach a new trick. But I am going to build one nonetheless. And so I'm going to put my son in it. So
okay.
He's got an E90 chassis that's been sitting there collecting dust for a long time. His fiance is Japanese. So he proposed to her over there while he was visiting her family. And then he's always been into drifting. So he did a class, and I don't know the guy's name honestly, but he's one of the OGs from the Japanese drift scene. And he runs a drifting school over there. So just did a 2-day class, and he came back like ready to drift. So
That's incredible.
We are going to have an SP drift car eventually, and hopefully within the next year.
What motor platform are you going to go with?
LS. LS.
Rats. I was
LS.
hoping Duarte would talk you into a 2J.
Yeah, so I saw his, and believe me, I have a ton of respect for a 2J setup. Lots of power, but it sounds like a bunch of angry bees, and you just get when you have a cammed LS, there's just no better sound.
Man, I don't know if I can hop on that train. I can't do it.
Everybody hates an LS. I get it. I understand.
Well, I wouldn't. Not everybody hates an LS. It's just not the preferred sound for me.
Yeah,
I really love inline 6 motors.
For the type of racing that I do, obviously LS is, if you're going to run a small block platform, LS is really the way to go. With that said, doing it in a drift car is going to take some work. It's not, it's great for all-out raw power. When you're trying to hold something at a high RPM for a long period of time, you got to do a lot of work to an LS to make that happen.
That's very true. Especially
if you want it to live.
Well, in drifting, you got to deal with all the motor slosh and stuff too. So it's a whole different avenue you got to go down.
Yeah.
Do you already have a build list in mind for what you're going to do for that, or is this very recent decision?
Not a recent decision, but probably an escalation to timeline. So it's been, I I've got a car that I'm building for a 235 limited drag racing class that I'm going to run. We do some drag and drive events as well. So I have literally 2 race cars that I'm in the process of building. I've got a 67 Nova that I need to finish. And then I just started a 67 C10. And then I've got, so the BMW just kind of started working its way to the back of the line. Now it's kind of working its way back up to the front of the line. So,
We'll get to first eventually.
Exactly. Yeah, it'll probably be a turbo setup, although I am, on the LS platforms, I am kind of partial to Pro Chargers. So it's definitely going to be boosted.
Right out the gate?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, all right.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all or nothing. Let's go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well,
With
tell
the
me-
turbo, I can turn it down until he's comfortable with the car and then turn it back up.
That's fair.
I can't do that with a supercharger. It is what it is. I
And
can change a pulley size, that's it.
Well, yeah. Will it be for like events like this? Just bringing it out to Drift HQ events?
Events like this,
Grid lives, probably.
we'll do probably some burnout stuff. We also do, I don't know if you've ever heard of him, there's a guy called Cuddles Burnout.
Cuddles.
So
Maybe.
dude is crazy. He's an Aussie, but he came over here, like he's super popular over there. When you get a chance, check him out on social.
Okay.
His name's Kieran Barber, and he came over here with his Aussie crew doing like a tour. So he's done some stuff down at Cletus's place, and so they do these crazy, burnout competitions. So we sponsor some of that. So we were like, a lot of what we do, I mean, we sell tools and equipment for a living, but this is also what we do. Like we're
it's
like
to
I said,
fund this.
we're all into all types of motorsports. So we sponsored a local or put on a local burnout competition at our local drag strip where they had enough space for us to do it. We've got the second annual one coming up. So when Jess isn't doing events like this with the car, we'll be doing stuff like that.
Sick.
Yeah.
Okay. How does a burnout contest go? I've never even been to one really.
So-
I've seen them, but
Me either. I had never been.
Great.
I didn't know what to expect. So I'm thinking, okay, we're just going to go in circles. No,
Really?
these guys melt stuff down to the rim, like literally. So I'll get Bill to send you some footage that you can mix into this.
Okay, yeah.
When you put it together.
Perfect.
And so the one dude, he looks like a Mongol. Like he's bald up front. He's just got this patch of hair in the back and like a 4-foot ponytail, right? So he's got this little tiny truck. It looks like an S10, but it's an Aussie something, right? It's probably some sort of weird Toyota. And he's doing these burnouts, and he is literally shooting asphalt because he burnt the tire. There was no rubber left on the rim. When he came off of the track, there was no rubber left on the rim. He is down to steel wheel, and he's leaving cuts into the asphalt, and he's throwing pieces of rock and asphalt into the crowd. So we had some really nice race cars staged up there and stuff like that. We had to move them. We literally had no idea
Did
what
any of
to
them
expect.
get damaged?
No, well, a couple dings here and there.
That's
It's like, paint
fair.
chips.
Yeah.
It's a race car. They're gonna.
God, how does nobody
Unfortunately,
get
it was
killed?
pressed paint. Yeah.
Just a flying rock going through your
So
skull.
all this stuff started going through our mind afterward. We're like,
Oh no.
because we really didn't know what to expect. We were like, all right, note to self, bigger barriers, move the crowd, like, because we had
Maybe a
everybody
net.
like right there. I'm a big fan of be part of the act, be safe, but be part of the action. Like if you can get people engaged that way, they'll keep coming back.
That's very
And,
true.
We had them a little too close.
Oh my God, I could imagine that. Other than the burnout stuff, tell me a little bit about your history and how the motorsports that you grew up in, what you do specifically,
Yep.
and your personal cars you're building.
So I grew up drag racing. When it came to cars, I grew up drag racing in my late teens. early 20s. Something about just staging a car, all the G's that you feel when you launch and just everything that goes into that adrenaline rush really got me. And then I had kids. I have 6 kids, I have 6 grandkids. So as the kids started coming, you know, I had to be responsible and go to work, and, you know, keeping a race car wasn't responsible. So it went away, and I was out of it forever. Like every now and then I would go to some sort of race event. I was out of it forever. Then I started doing some road course racing, and I love road course racing. It's a different kind of rush. More similar to drifting, except we're trying to not do what they do. We want to take it to the edge.
Arguably scarier to do road racing.
Yeah,
I've said that a lot.
It is, I think.
You're right on the edge.
Yes.
So if you go over it, something catastrophic's about to happen.
Yes.
At least in drifting, if you go over the edge, you could spin out and save it.
And speeds are a lot different. So on that straightaway, I think we hit 112. I probably would have hit 130. You know, in a car, going into the same turn. So, you know, it's just different. And then I got back into drag racing a few years ago. A friend of mine, there's a guy named David Ankin that has a TV show called Toy Makers. And he was doing an event out at South Georgia Motorsports Park, and he talked me into coming out there. It's a drag racing event. And I should have never gone, because I had more money then than I do now, because all the money's going into the race car. So I was out there one day, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna build it was kind of like riding with him yesterday. You ready to build a car? Yep, I sure am. Same thing. I get back out on the track, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go build a car. So I built this. I imported a Holden Ute from Australia. Think modern day El Camino. Yeah. So cool car, and with the Australian heritage of SP, it just kind of tied in. Worst car ever for drag racing.
Why?
If I had, it's IRS. And
Fair.
Of course, with that LS platform, you start throwing power at it. And when you're launching like that, it just doesn't. I broke axles, I broke pinions, I broke drive shafts. I mean, every time I took it out, I was just shooting parts out the back. So now it is a solid axle. I basically have redesigned the entire car to make it work. It would have just been easier to get something that was already solid axle. But it's close to being done. When the last time I raced it, it was 4,600 pounds. And we were doing it in drag and drive events only.
No way.
When I left to come here, hadn't put the cage in it yet. We haven't built the cage for it, but it was sitting at 1960. So we'll be roughly 1,600 horsepower to, flywheel horsepower. So in that 3,000 pounds with me in it, race weight, should be a fast car.
What solid axle did you use?
Mosier.
Mosier. Oh,
Mosier.
okay.
So they made a bolt-in. That's the other thing with the class that I'm going to run it in. Whatever I did to the rear had to be bolt-in, like readily available commercial bolt-in subframe. I can't like back half it or anything like that. So it was kind of tough. I didn't have a lot of options. Thank God. So Mosier doesn't really make one for the Ute, but they make one for a 5th gen Camaro, and there's similar platforms in the rear.
About same rear.
So
yeah.
we made that work. Made a couple other things work, and still stay within the spirit of the rules.
Well, the Ute would be good for drifting, obviously.
Yes.
It's used often for
Yep.
drifting. Why wouldn't you go down that same rabbit hole for drifting rather than the BMW? Just because the chassis is available?
So funny you mentioned that. I probably will long term.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to bring another one in. I had to convert the one that I'm driving because I wanted it registered to do the drag and drive events. So I had to convert it to left-hand drive, which kind of sucks. It, you know what I mean? When you actually have an Aussie car and you got to move the steering wheel, it takes away from the value, I think.
Heartbreaking,
yes,
too.
it is. So the next one we bring in is just going to be a race car. So I'm going to leave it right-hand drive, and I think it would be really cool to have a right-hand drive drift car, you know, with a ute, with
it'd be perfect.
with the SP Tools livery on it. Like, it would be fun.
Yeah, towing the trailer.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yes. Yes.
That would be so hilarious. Man, that's cool. I love to see you guys in drifting and be a part of all this. Especially you. You gotta drive it at some point, right? You're gonna learn. I
can't be on a track. I was already telling them I should have brought one of my cars. Like, I can't be around this and be a spectator. Like, I need a steering wheel or handlebars or dirt's the same way. It doesn't matter. I've got a side-by-side that I race. It's a Can-Am Maverick X3RR turbo, upgraded turbo. I've had that 92 miles an hour on the highway.
Holy hell.
It's tagged and insured.
Is that not
I
scary?
drive it to work sometimes.
That'd be fun.
So my IT guy comes walking out of the building one day and he's taking pictures. And I'm like, what's the matter? He's like, I just had to send my son a picture of my boss pulling up in a side-by-side to go to work.
That's something I've never like really dabbled in or experienced, is side-by-side stuff. I've had a couple buddies that like left drifting or motorsports entirely. Well, I guess that's still motorsports, but to go to the side-by-side world, and they love it. I just I don't know enough about it.
It's different. It's different. It's a different kind of rush. And it's really challenging, honestly. You have everything. It combines all of it. So every type of racing that you can think of, you've got to be on your game with all of it to be competitive in that world. Because you're sliding, you got to have, you got to have wheel control. You got to have a light touch. You've got to be able to jump and then land right. You still have to do precision driving because you need to cut that turn when you need to cut that turn. You need to understand apexes and everything else. So it's like combining everything from being on a dirt bike to drifting to road course racing, with a little bit of G-forces and drag racing mixed in.
Is it more on like dirt? Is that where you're doing it?
Almost
or like
exclusively dirt.
Sand?
Yeah.
Every once in a while?
So whatever you call, like one of the events that we looked at sponsoring, we didn't do it just because of how difficult it was, is King of the Hammers.
Oh, yeah.
So that's, I guess, would be considered sand. It's like literally like in the desert.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons we didn't do it, is like us getting out there to the middle of nowhere and then staying in the desert for 2 weeks. That's a tough, for marketing purposes.
It's a big ask.
Yes, and then everything is covered in sand and dirt and dust.
Even here, dude, in
Yes.
South Carolina, everything's sandy. I'll go home.
I
my
noticed this,
tripods
like
suck.
yes, I bet.
Yeah, it's annoying. But since you have gone down so many different, I guess, motorsports and been to all these different motorsports events, what's your opinion on the way drifting is ran versus, say, drag racing or road racing or any other motorsport?
So it's, I like it. I do. It's more of a community. Drag racing is too. Seems to be a lot more, drag racing seems to be a lot more cliquish. Road course racing is a different vibe completely. Probably because of the average person that's road course racing and the budgets that go along with that. Who
is that average person? Like, what do you mean?
The guys competing at this level, like the guys that are out on the fast track, that's your average doctor, lawyer, so it's a lot of Porsche GT3s and, Lamborghinis and things like that. Nothing wrong with that. It's just a different vibe than something like this where it's more community. So they're pro-am at best, but there's this feeling like you're at a competitive professional race. Where this is more like, let's get together, have some fun, compete, but let's have some fun. So it's just a different vibe.
Yeah, I mean, you got people that are here with maybe $100 in their pocket,
Yes.
or maybe even less, and just trying to drive on
Yes.
some spare tires, but
All the way up to these
fighting
guys.
for it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, and it's funny because even though the racing is completely different, the vibe is much similar to a drag and drive event. So even at a professional drag race, there's tension, because they are competing for a championship, right? So there's tension, there's arguments, there's drama, there's all these other things. You go to a drag and drive event and it's completely different. It's everybody hanging out, and then you got the parking lot parties that, when you get to the hotel that night, that kind of thing. Some of the guys camp at the tracks that we race at, so we'll do 4 or 5 tracks depending on the drag and drive event. We'll do 4 or 5 tracks over 4 or 5 days, and you got to show up and you got to drive the car that you're drag racing. So it's like endurance racing meets drag racing.
Yeah, like with the, I guess it's drag week.
Yep.
It's like the same
Very.
concept.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay.
That's really drag week. Drag week is really what got it started. And then Sick Week, I think, was the next one in line. The guys there, Tom Bailey did an awesome job with that. Like you can't get a spot in there anymore. There's that many cars. But it's more of a community, and everybody's getting along. Everybody's having a great time. And you have everything from the guy that could just scrape enough money together to build his car to guys that race professionally.
Yeah. Have you seen Drift Week
No.
before?
No.
Oh, you should look up Aaron Losey down in Lone Star.
Okay.
Out in Dallas, Texas,
Okay.
Fort Worth. He runs Drift Week, which happens every year. I think twice a year now.
Is he doing the drift school out there too?
Yeah, he has a drift school.
So it's
he
funny,
also
they
does a
reached out to us.
Pro-Am. Okay, yeah.
Or somebody that works for me knows them.
Gotcha.
So they're going out to meet with them. We might be sponsoring the school.
Oh, cool.
And then that's where I plan on sending Jesse to get some seat time before I put him in the car that I'm going to spend that much money building.
Yeah, smart idea. You check out the Drift Week though.
Okay.
Because it's the same concept, but it spans out over like 2 weeks instead
Okay.
of a week. But you got to drive your car there to each track, and they do like sections of the country. At first, the first one they did, it was like a full stretch of the U.S., and it was a shit show.
I can
pretty much,
imagine.
Planning pretty.
Okay.
So now it's in sections of Northeast, Northwest, Southeast, all that stuff. But it's wild, and there's a whole bunch of content that comes out of it each year.
Okay.
Just from all the drivers doing their own stuff, and yeah.
So how many tracks are they hitting?
Usually I think it's 6 to 7 tracks.
Okay.
Over 2 weeks, so it's they'll go one day of driving, or then travel the next day, one day of driving, travel the next day, one day of driving. That's why it takes 2 weeks.
I feel like that's the event that Bill went to, because he
Maybe.
was out with man, I can't remember the name of the guy that we were sponsoring. I can't remember. I guess I'm getting too old. But he was out on the road for like a week or 2. So I bet you that was the
That's
event.
probably it, yeah.
Because they were at different tracks. So that's back when we were working with Ben Hobson, but we also sponsored that event, and it could have been Drift Week. I didn't get to go. And everybody was like, man, you would have had a blast. And I'm like, I'm sure. Some of us have to work, so you guys can go out and have fun.
Very true. Well, you mentioned Ben Hobson. What do you think of his career going on right now? Have you noticed how he's doing in FD? And
Yeah, he's killing it. That was Bill's first time in a drift car.
no way.
Oh yeah. So he the guy that was running tech and was doing the drivers meeting was like, hey, I'm going to put you out there with Ben. You already know him anyway, so I'm going to put you out there with Ben so you get a feel for what the guys are doing. And Bill was like, I thought I was going to die. I just knew we were going straight for the wall, because I think they were at a like a circle track, some sort of asphalt oval. And
Probably Orlando.
it might have been.
Yeah.
And he was like, as soon as we get out there, he's heading straight for this wall, and I just know he's going to kill me. And then he did, and I survived.
Yeah, and it looks like you're actually on the wall
Yes.
when you're
Yeah.
up there. That's crazy. But yeah, Ben's been doing an incredible job, I will say. What were y'all doing together whenever you were working with him?
So, and to be honest with you, I don't really know why we stopped. I'm not directly involved in a lot of that. I know we met him originally through Clutch Kickers, and I think he was out at some of those local events that we were doing. His dad, I don't know if he owns the dealerships, but he might be the general manager of some dealerships in Alabama. So he was up around, I want to say like somewhere around Auburn area. And so since we're an Alabama-based company, he was kind of semi-local. It was just a good fit. At the time, I knew nothing of drifting, zero, nothing. And so the guys were like, hey, I think we should get into sponsoring some drifting events. And I'm like, okay, you do you.
Just go do it. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So then the guys called me and were like, hey, we've got this guy. He's really talented. We'd like to do a sponsorship with him. I think he's going to do well in his career. So this is long before he went pro. And but he wants to meet you. And I'm like, okay. So we went to dinner, had a great dinner, had a great conversation. I've never talked to him since.
No way.
The guys have, but I haven't. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Bill still talks
Wow.
to him periodically. So like I said, don't know why we stopped. He could have picked up a bigger corporate sponsor. I don't know.
Well, do you see yourself, SP, coming out with any specific tools that might be designed around drifting or for any specific use
So
in this industry?
I do. One of the things that we're pushing right now is we've got a tool roll. So it's basically like a toolkit that you can keep in your car, or boat or RV or whatever. That kind of gives you all of the critical things that you need. And I can see taking that, because the way that it rolls up and takes up just a little bit of space, I could see us customizing that tool roll for some of the drift cars.
I would love that.
A lot
That'd
of
be
them are
perfect for
similar.
Drift Week.
Exactly. We're going to do the same thing for the drag guys. So because a lot of this is going to be all metric stuff, right? So they're all standard and all 12 point. So like I can see different versions of that specific to the type of racing that these guys are doing. So beyond that, I don't know what I would do specific to drifting, other than coming up with toolkits that fit the cars in the way that they're designed. When I look at the chassis and I look at the engine setups, it's like every other kind of racing. They're very similar. So you've got your two JZ guys, right? And then you've got your Coyote guys and your LS guys. The Coyote setup's going to be similar no matter what Mustang you stick it in. Same with the LS, engine-wise. Wheels are going to be similar, things like that. So we could build a kit that would have everything that they need and nothing that they don't.
That would be epic.
Yeah.
Especially for all these guys that just drive their car to the event.
Yep.
Just on a regular basis. I have a couple of buddies that die hard live by
Yes.
that.
Yes.
So that would be really cool. There's actually this one tool that I saw forever ago. It blew up on social media
Okay.
for a very short period of time. It was a socket that was 6 inches long maybe, but it was for lug nuts. And
Yep.
you could just keep zipping it on and off. But for some ungodly reason, the socket was $500. An absurd amount, which was, I think, why it died off. But why would something like that be so expensive? Or is that something that could easily be done?
It could be, it could have been something that a small company came up with. So it's cheaper to build 10,000 than it is to build one. So if you're a really small company, you come up with a great idea, but you don't have the reach to sell a bunch of them, manufacturing cost goes way up.
That's fair.
We worked with another company that had a really neat, it was like a flare nut type wrench, and they were originally designed for O2 sensors and things like that.
Oh.
They were almost indestructible, didn't slip, that kind of thing. But they were, oh my God, you could replace the exhaust for what the set of wrench, you could just replace a converter for what the set of wrenches cost. It was crazy. And then there was, as a resale company, there really wasn't any margin either. So he's like, hey, we want you guys to sell this. And I'm like, well, we can't make any money selling it. And I think we could sell 3 of them because it's so expensive. So it's probably, my guess would be something similar to that. And I feel like if those guys had the reach and understood, they also weren't business guys. He was an engineer. So if he understood business a little bit better, make it at a price point where it makes sense, make it at a margin point where companies will get behind it, then you can go get your volume, drive your manufacturing costs down, then you're a better fit for the market.
That's got to be so hard to start a tool company then.
It is.
I mean,
especially when you're competing with, we compete with guys like Snap-on, and they're a great company. I used to work for them. I have a lot of respect for them. In the U.S., they are the 800-pound gorilla on the block. They've got the money, they've got the reach, they've got the R&D, they have everything a small company like me doesn't have. So it's really tough when you compete with guys like that. You have to innovate. You have to do things different. That's part of why we're here. Me as the CEO of the company, day after 4th of July, I'm out here at a racetrack interacting with our customers because the CEO of Snap-on's not going to do that.
I'll be honest, never in a day in my life have I owned a Snap-on tool.
Okay.
I refuse to pay the price, no matter how good the tool is.
And it's gone. I was shocked. Being a former Snap-on employee, I checked some pricing the other day, and it was like,
yeah,
surely that was like a case quantity. It wasn't. It wasn't.
I mean, it's getting. Obviously, I know tariffs and all sorts of stuff come into effect, but they've always been so expensive. It's like the Apple of tools, and
So I had.
Sure, it may be great, but it's it's a wrench, and it's a socket. So
I had a customer ask me one day. He was a good customer. He liked our tools, and he's like, "How come they're so cheap?" And we're not cheap. Don't get me wrong, but when you compare, because we are compared a lot of times to their quality at a much greater value to the person buying it, and he's like, "How can you do it this cheap?" And I said, "Well, a couple reasons." I said, first of all, I don't sponsor 7 NASCAR teams. I don't have a private jet. I don't have a helicopter yet.
Yet, mark my words.
That might come. I said, who do you think pays for that? They sell a product. So if they want a jet and all the NASCAR sponsorships and NHRA sponsorships and pretty much all of the motorsport sponsorships that everybody wants, Snap-on has. But you're paying for that. That's why that set of wrenches is $800 instead of $300, because NASCAR sponsorships aren't cheap.
I don't think a lot of people understand that whole side of it.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting, because I personally would have never even guessed that. That's the actual reason.
And the irony is they're catering to those teams, not the customer.
Yeah, because then like I just mentioned, never once in my life have I owned a Snap-on tool. So who's actually buying the product? Is it just the mechanics in a dealership that get wrapped up in the plans,
right?
The payment plans, and that's all who's actually buying it? Or
it's funny. Snap-on started that business model, the tool truck business model, early 20s. And then during the Great Depression, that whole, you can have the tools now and then we'll work out weekly payments. That was all born from the Great Depression. If you had a job during the Great Depression, you were working for reduced wages, and So you didn't really have the extra money to buy the tools that you needed to do your job. Snap-on as a manufacturer need to keep the factory going and to keep their people employed. So the solution was, you give me, if the tool was $20, you give me, and I know this is like $20 back then was a lot
It's like
of money.
$300 now.
Yeah.
you
So
know.
you give me $2 today, $2 next week, over the next 4 or 5 weeks or 10 weeks or whatever that negotiated term is, and you get the tools that you need to do your job. We get the consistent manufacturing so we can keep the factory going. It's a win-win. It was such an effective marketing tool. It hasn't changed. We're in 2025, so we're literally 100 and some years later, and they're still doing the same. They're still doing the same thing. We have tool trucks. We do the same thing. Like, we don't actually own them. They're distributors, but their business model is based on the same thing. But that's also one of the things that I'm trying to change. So 100 years ago, there wasn't an internet. There wasn't, the younger people that we do business with are different than a younger person back then, right? So they like apps and social media, and, not always are wanting to get on a tool truck and have that kind of interaction.
It scares people
But
most
if
of the time.
Yeah, but if you want to buy professional tools, you've always been forced to go that route. So we're like, they can't embrace e-commerce because it would violate their franchise agreements, right? So we got to thinking about that, like, how do we do both? How do we give somebody a protected territory as we're setting up distributors, and at the same time allow them to take advantage of e-commerce? So the idea is all the e-commerce comes back through us. We take care of our distributor on the back end, so they still get to participate in e-commerce. And then we're also building an app that simulates that tool truck buying experience, where you can manage your purchases and your payments and all that
Without getting haggled by a salesman.
exactly, without having to go get on a tool truck. So when the app's live, like, we want you to do business with us in a way that you feel more comfortable doing business with us, not in the way that we tell you have to.
That's fair. Now, I have to bring this up because, like I mentioned earlier, like, a socket's a socket, a wrench, wrench, arguable. But what keeps someone from just going to their local Harbor Freight rather than coming to you guys?
Nothing. So we gotta leave the cave, kill something, and drag it home. Like, we gotta go.
I like that, yeah.
We gotta go to work. That's what we're doing here. We gotta let people know who we are, what we stand for. Harbor Freight, people don't realize, they look at Snap-on as that big 800-pound gorilla on the block. In the eyes of Harbor Freight, Snap-on's like a baby monkey. People don't realize Harbor Freight's like a $20 billion corporation. They're huge.
No shit.
Oh, they're huge. They're huge. So you are literally dealing with like a massive, massive company. And it might not be 20, it might be 12, but
Okay.
they're considerably larger than Snap-on. So we're a family-owned company. And, when I'm too old to do this, don't want to do this, or, whatever, my son is going to take over. He is the succession plan for the company. So we're a family-owned business.
Dude, that's awesome. Well, I obviously the family-owned business
And
part.
that's
but,
one
like,
thing that the big
that
guys
blew
can never
my
do.
mind.
Yeah.
I did not realize Harbor
Yes.
Freight was that. Well,
So much
when
so,
you put
like,
it into comparison, like, they're fucking everywhere. There's
So-
a store everywhere.
Yes. So here's the funny part. They are Snap-on's nemesis, 100%. So Snap-on came out with a new jack a while ago, right? Awesome jack. But it was like $800, $1,000, something like that. It was really expensive.
Fuck that,
And
dude.
So Harbor Freight bought the jack, sent it to China, literally copied it. Snap-on sues them. And they lost.
Oh, shit.
They changed just enough to get around the patents, right? So now, check the next time you go to a Harbor Freight, so you're gonna get all your tools from SP going forward, but go to Harbor Freight to check me on this. So when you go in there, everything that they copy from Snap-on now has tags on it with the Snap-on part number.
I've seen that.
So compare
Oh
what,
my God.
So when Snap-on
That's
sued
so
them,
funny.
that was Harbor Freight saying, fuck you. They gave it right back to them. And then they've been sued 2 or 3 times since then, and Snap-on's lost
So
every
Harbor
single
Freight
one of
has
them.
consistently made a business off of being an absolute menace to Snap-on.
Yes,
That is amazing.
yes, yes, they have.
I'm gonna support you guys from now on, but like a Harbor Freight,
That's funny.
That's pretty ballsy.
Yes.
I love that.
So you know the guys in Wisconsin, which is where Snap-on's headquartered.
Right.
You know they're up there pissed, absolutely pissed, because
God.
legitimately, Harbor Freight took that jack, violated their IP, copied it. Everybody knows it. And not only did they copy it, they copied it so good, it works just as good as Snap-on's jack and lasts just as long. It's a very well-built jack because it was a very well-designed jack. And so, yeah, it pisses them off. Their air tools, they're comparing with Snap-on. Their electric tools, I wouldn't buy them, but
No.
but their
I don't
electric
trust them.
tools are, they'll still...
Is it true that they take like the same battery as DeWalt's? Like the Bauer?
Possibly.
I've seen
Possibly.
that may be a side thing, but
Yeah, yes. So, we shared some IP with another tool company, and so we didn't have our cordless for several years, and there's a reason. It's not that we didn't want to bring it over here. The batteries were interchangeable because we shared the IP with another company. And one of my guys, being a smart ass, decided to go tell the customers. And ironically, we at the time were suppliers to this company too, right? So one of my guys goes and tells the customers, and our batteries were half the money. So their batteries were like 780, we're like 330 for a 18 volt battery. And when they found out, there's this big thing. They're a much bigger company than we are, especially for the U.S. market. So basically, they went back and said, "You guys can't use the IP anymore, or we're going to pull all of our production from the facility and all this other stuff." And the facility needed the production. So we had to go back and redesign all of our molds. Internally, the battery's still the same, but we had to put some plastic pieces in the way to where it wouldn't connect. And then we had to redesign the head. So we took advantage of it instead of just doing a quick, remold. We took advantage of it and said, okay, if we were forced to redesign this, let's look at everything. Let's look at the motor. Let's look at everything. Is there any way to improve it over what we were already doing? Because essentially they were identical tools, different brands, identical tools.
yeah.
Can we make it better? So we did. We went where they were using, when theirs are using brushes, we're using brushless motors. And so better power delivery in the motor itself leads to longer battery life, things like that. So we get more use out of our tool in between charges. It won't wear out as fast because there's not as much power draw on the motor, things like that. So it's just a better built tool overall.
Would you say that most manufacturers are using the same internals on their batteries, at least?
So there's only 3 companies in the world that make lithium batteries.
No? Okay, so then what makes a battery so goddamn expensive? Is it just the lithium battery itself?
So part of it, and you'll love
Okay.
you'll love this.
Let's do it.
So I found out the hard way that so everybody's heard of Milwaukee, right?
Yep.
And Milwaukee's done a great job with cordless. Like, they got everything that you could possibly imagine available for a battery operated tool. Some of it, in my opinion, isn't worth what they charge for it.
No.
Some of it's not bad stuff. All of that said, before electric power became a big thing, Milwaukee got a generic, and when I say generic, it was very loosely worded. They got a generic patent for lithium battery technology because they assumed that that's where the market was going to go. So they patented if you use a lithium battery, and so back then everybody was NiCad. That was the big power thing. So, but they were heavy. The batteries were heavy. They didn't last as long, and they weren't as powerful. So lithium really was going to be the up-and-coming technology. So they patented it. Well, everybody that sells, I think they patented a 12 volt, 16 volt, no, 12 volt, 18 volt, and 24 volt. 16 volt is the only one that they didn't. That's why you'll see Snap-on and Matco both have a 16 volt option, because it gets around Milwaukee's patent. So
wow.
That drove up what they did. Instead of saying you can't sell them, they were smart. And they said you have to pay us for every battery sold. So you're paying higher prices on those batteries, and Milwaukee's getting paid for it.
Oh my God. No wonder they're so ahead of everyone else as far as cordless and everything.
All of that money goes right back into their R&D budget.
Holy shit.
So the competition literally is paying for them to be a bigger pain in the ass.
My God,
it was
that's
insult
bullshit.
to injury. So the only reason that I know that is we got hit with a cease and desist when we first brought our cordless in. Milwaukee came by our booth at SEMA, and they were playing with it, and I was like, I wonder what they're doing. And less than 2 months later, I had a cease and desist from their attorney, and then talking about this patent and all this other stuff. So I had my attorney go back and like do some research, and the guys with money fought it and lost, including Snap-on, Matco, Stanley Black & Decker, who owns Mac Tools. They all fought it. They all lost. So that, I think it was last year, the year before, the patent expired, but the battery prices have, as you notice, haven't come back down.
So you're just going to keep it there? Because it's already selling,
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah.
Wow, man, that's so fucked.
And that's really where they make their money. Building a cordless tool is expensive. So like margin-wise for the company, for the manufacturer, as strange as it may seem, there's not a lot of meat on the bone when it comes to cordless tools. But they make their money in batteries.
What the heck? So if you go on like Alibaba or just buy some Chinese battery, it's virtually the same thing almost, or is it still
No, it's
way
different. So like lithium requires, if you want it to be effective, lithium requires PCB boards inside to control that amperage and that voltage. Also control the charging, things like that. So when you buy that stuff on Temu or whatever, a place that just keeps following me everywhere I go.
I'm just bringing this up just so that we can clarify it.
You're going to have much cheaper components. You remember the Samsung batteries blowing up?
Right, yeah.
So Samsung is one of the companies that makes batteries. Samsung, Panasonic, and I forget the other one. Pretty much there's 3 companies that do lithium batteries for the whole world.
That's incredible.
It's how they're controlled and then what they're controlling. So the electronics and the motor and how all of that works together, that's really where the magic happens. That's what's going to separate that cheap Chinese tool from something like ours or Snap-ons or Milwaukee's or something like that.
So with power tools, it does matter how much you spend.
It does.
For the most part.
It does.
That's crazy. So okay, then the whole stigma of like this brand versus that brand, the most notorious DeWalt versus Milwaukee. What is that just like sticklers being sticklers?
When we got started, we were talking about engines. You're a 2JZ guy, I'm an LS guy. That's it.
Full circle, baby.
That's it. That's what it is.
Oh, that's awesome.
At the end of the day, people buy from people, right? So we have an awesome set of cordless tools. If you're partial to Milwaukee, you're probably going to continue to buy that. If you're partial to Snap-on, you're probably going to continue to buy that. You know, you may like some of the things that go into ours, and some of the other companies. One of the big things for this, like motorsport, and for the guys that are using cordless in a professional automotive or heavy duty environment, was that tool designed for that environment, or was it designed as a carpenter's tool? No offense to Milwaukee, but they build carpenter's tools. And now they build carpenter's tools that are used in an automotive shop, but that doesn't make them built for an automotive shop. If you grab ours, the hand grips are different. They're that way for a couple of reasons. Most mechanics suffer from carpal tunnel, or could, arthritis, all the other things that go into you're gripping something in your hand for hours a day. It's anti-fatigue.
Is it like a different angle or something?
It's a little bit wider, so you don't have, your grip is different. When you grab a Milwaukee tool, your forefinger and your thumb are right there on the forward reverse button. So when that impacts or it kicks, you almost inevitably will hit that switch. It drives me nuts when I used to use them. Ours is,
I know exactly
they
what
look
you're
like
about.
They're in the same position, but when you put it in your hand, you can't get to it. Like you have to physically move your thumb up or your finger up.
Can we grab one?
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be perfect.
grab one.
Just to see. I'm curious myself, honestly. Good gust of wind. Oh, sweet. Okay. Oh my God, that is way thicker.
So when you put that in your hand, there's less fatigue. You're not going to bump that button.
Look how
It
wide
looks
that
like
is.
they're in the same spot, but when you put it in your hand, especially if you put a Milwaukee next to it, you'll see the difference, and it's not much. It's less than 1/4 of an inch, but it makes all the difference
Feel
in the
it,
world.
though, dude.
Yeah. We also designed our cordless tools. Like I said, Milwaukee does a great job of building anything and everything for lithium battery, down to heated jackets, right? Lawn care and all kinds of things. We design ours specifically for mechanics in mind. So what do you use day in and day out all day long? It's not the big, massive, I've got 1,800 foot-pounds of breakaway torque. This is the stuff that you use all day.
Yeah.
This, cordless ratchets, drill drivers, things like that, and small impacts. So we have
My compact DeWalt is
Yes.
what I'm zipping everything off of
and
that.
we've got a compact 1/2 inch that outworks most people's big 1/2 inch.
No.
So it's lighter, and you almost never grab our big tools. We make them,
Yeah.
but we don't sell near as many of those as we do this, because I think this is out of a 5 or 6 piece kit, something like that. This
Yeah.
little piece here, that gives a mechanic what they need to do day-to-day jobs minus the ratchets, because the ratchets you got to get separate. But it gives the rest of the tools that you use day in and day out all day long in one little kit.
That's incredible. Like just the resting spot of it.
Yep.
It's comfortable in your hand. Like I don't know. I assume firearms. Are you a firearm guy?
Me, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Second Amendment.
Okay. Absolutely, brother. Hell yeah. Well, grips are a big thing for rifles.
Yes.
So
Yep.
I mean, if I don't have the right grip on an AR, it bothers the absolute piss out of
Yep.
me, because most of them will come with an angle that's like way too kicked
Yes.
back.
Yep.
Like more for if you're just, I guess.
Almost
Running gun.
like a forward grip.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And instead of a rear grip.
Yeah, literally. This is perfect. It's a direct like 90-degree angle, So it doesn't.
The rubber is coated in a way. There's nothing that you're going to do to rubber that's going to make it survive a shop environment for the most part.
Oh no.
But the silicone rubber that we use is oil resistant. It's gas resistant. You know, basically chemical resistant, because mechanics are going to hit that with chemicals all day long. So you'll see a lot of the cordless stuff from DeWalt and Milwaukee, which, you know, got their beginnings in that kind of tooling, building stuff for carpenters, where chemicals really aren't a big thing. But in a shop environment, automotive shop environment, chemicals are a thing.
I would have never, like, how do you stumble upon the fact that that feels right?
I would love to take the genius and run with that. But that's really Tom and Kev over in Australia.
Oh, okay.
But they also have, when they come up with a mold, they take it to the mechanics and they put it in their hand and say, what do you think? How does it feel? What a revolutionary concept.
Yeah.
Ask your customers what it is
Ta-da.
that they're looking for.
And like, just for a reference too, I have small hands.
Yeah.
So, and even with the wide grip, I can still easily reach everything.
But not bump it by accident.
Yeah. When it torques.
Just
it's
that
like, like just a tiny little bit. Dude.
Crazy.
So like the stigma of you've invested so much into impacts and just power tools, and you've got batteries for everything, that keeps you from wanting to switch. But truthfully, little details like that, I feel like would make most people want to switch.
I tell guys, take your Milwaukee home. You do stuff at home. You're going to work on stuff at home. You're working on your cars at home.
Yeah.
Like almost every mechanic's got a set of tools at home. You know, keep your Milwaukee stuff at home. That way your battery's on and change with your weed eater and whatever else you're using. You know, but the stuff that you're using all day long, you know, don't use a tool that wasn't designed, you know, for your use at work all day long.
Yeah. Very wise, man. I love that. Was there anything interesting you want to tell me more about SP or any tools specifically that you think would help the average person?
Man, I don't know.
This is the most incredible thing I could have asked. So
I'll give you a little bit of a teaser. The new tools that we have coming out that I said are going to be game changers tie into power tools, and it's going to be, you know, it's going to be that everybody's going to say, why didn't I think of that? It's one of those. And
I hate those.
It's born from talking to your customers. You know, there's if you don't know what they're looking for, what their pain points are, it's tough to build a tool that fits their need.
That's fair. Well, I love what you guys are doing, man. This is incredible.
Awesome.
And especially directed towards cars.
Yes.
It's about damn time.
Yes. We're all, like I said, all things motorsport. If it's gotten, look, if we're doing a trade show or something downtown in any given city, we are literally racing those rental scooters down the street to see who's faster. Doesn't always work out good for us. Yeah. Doesn't always work out good for us. You know, we've had some injuries, but we're all as the whole crew. It's all things motorsport.
That's awesome, man. Well, you ought to jump on the sim when you go down to the compound sometime.
Okay.
And, try out drifting.
Okay, I will. You'll see me out here at some point in time or another.
Good.
I promise. Yeah.
Well, awesome, man. Well, I do want to ask you this. I haven't asked somebody this in a long time. I used to ask every episode. If you had the opportunity to speak to the entire world, what would your one message be?
Oh man, that's deep. Find the good in everything. All the negative things in the world are readily available. You got to look a little bit harder to find something that's good and something good about someone else. But if you do, you'll be better for it, and so will they.
I like that. I've always it's had that same concept, but I always say try and neutralize every situation.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, you don't always have to make everything positive. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's pretty fucking hard.
Yeah.
But you can neutralize the situation. There's no
just-
emotion to it.
Yeah, just be a light, and instead of adding to all the other shit that's out there, because there's plenty of people doing that. We need more people on the other side, like you said. Neutralize it. Just make that go away. If not, it just keeps feeding itself and gets out of control.
Absolutely. Well, cool, man. I really appreciate it. This was
Yeah.
awesome.
Same here.
I love your perspective.
Thank you.
And I just want to say this: you wouldn't damn near see this ever happen with Snap-on or any
That's
of those
right.
other fucking companies.
That's right.
So,
Fuck those guys.
yeah, fuck those guys. All right, well, I appreciate it, man. I'll let you get back to work and stuff.
Okay,
And
awesome.
thanks for sitting down and
You
taking
got it.
time, man. And
You got it.
love these.
Yep,
Seriously,
thank
those
you,
are
man.
awesome.
Guys, thank you.